stars trembled. A rift tore open across the edges of known reality, not a wound, but a deliberate incision, made with surgical cruelty. The very fabric of the multiverse rippled, as something vast, ancient, and unspeakably cold drifted through. Apocalypse was silent, for even its monstrous furnaces could not match the chill that accompanied him. Darkseid had arrived. Not the echo that often manifested across dimensions, not the projection that barked commands or fought battles in distant realms, but his true form. Towering, immutable, the core of tyranny incarnate, he drifted into the void between realities like a god returning to his cathedral, and with every step, galaxies wept gravitational tears. Time fractured around his presence. Causality hesitated, trying to remember its purpose. Earth felt it, not the governments, not the heroes. The sky felt it. The constellations buckled and the moon bled faint, crimson light. Something older than legends whispered into the hearts of those who could still hear the language of power. He is coming. Far below, in the windswept lands of Kondak, the earth cracked like a brittle plate. From a throne of black stone, Adam rose, the storm already coalescing behind his eyes. His senses flared, reacting not to sound or vision, but to a deep, primal shudder in the magical ley lines of the world. No entity, no deity, had stirred this kind of reaction in millennia. Lightning danced across his shoulders. The skies above his kingdom darkened, not from storm clouds but from the shadow of presence. He said no words. He did not summon allies. This battle would be his alone. Above the stratosphere, where oxygen thinned and only silence reigned, the veil split. Darkseid appeared, not descending but simply being, like a truth finally realized. His silhouette devoured the stars. No aura flared, no energy signature screamed. Yet every atom in the cosmos reeled. Black Adam met him there, just above Earth's cradle, suspended between the gravity of worlds. Lightning flickered at his fists, drawn like blades to a war long overdue. He launched himself with a streak of golden light, colliding with a new god in a sonic rupture that echoed through several dimensions. The impact did nothing to Darkseid. He did not stagger. He did not react. He simply absorbed, as if momentum were a mortal's invention. Black Adam spun back, his eyes narrowing. He surged forward again, fists glowing with the fury of ancient gods. Every blow was a storm. Every strike, a hymn of wrath. The sky tore apart, aurora spiraling in unnatural hues as magic collided with primordial force. Darkseid remained still. Then he moved. Not fast, not violent. He merely shifted, and in that gesture, space around him collapsed inward. Black Adam was pulled forward by gravity not tied to mass, but to sheer will. Before he could react, an invisible pressure crushed against his chest. He crashed through the upper atmosphere, burning like a fallen meteor, carving a trench through the Atlantic before erupting out near Greenland, thunder trailing behind him. The oceans raged. The moon twisted its orbit slightly, and above, Darkseid still watched. Black Adam erupted from the crater, face blooded, but fury untouched. His voice cracked the ice fields as he roared back into the sky. This time, he did not strike with fists. He summoned a storm of divine magnitude. Magic bled from his body like a second skin. The symbols of the gods lit up his veins as he called on powers older than civilization. The sky answered. 100 bolts of celestial lightning, sharpened into spears, plunged toward Darkseid. They struck with the wrath of the Pantheon, shaking continents. Volcanoes erupted in distant lands as a magical discharge tore into the heavens. When the light faded, Darkseid remained, unscathed, unmoved, and then he blinked. Not his eyes, his essence. In that instant, Black Adam found himself elsewhere. The stars were unfamiliar. The laws of physics bent in lazy arcs. Colors did not exist in any known spectrum, and time flowed in concentric loops. A pocket of existence crafted not to trap, but to test. This was the Omega Realm, a place no mortal had ever escaped. Black Adam floated, disoriented, but not afraid. The gods within him surged, defiant. He summoned his will, not to escape, but to confront. Magic surged, fracturing the walls of the prison. Cracks formed, bleeding white void. With a roar that defied the logic of space, he burst free, not through strength, but through conviction. He emerged near Saturn, the planet shaking as Darkseid turned once more. Now, a faint expression stirred on the new god's face. Curiosity, perhaps, amusement. Then came the Omega beams. No warning, no delay. They split apart like a hydra's breath, chasing Black Adam through space, bending around planets, searing through moons. He weaved, barely keeping ahead. One beam nicked his shoulder, and time reversed, then replayed, then froze for a fraction of a second. The pain was eternal, concentrated into an instant. He screamed, but still flew. Lightning cracked from his palms. He turned mid-flight and redirected the bolt not at Darkseid, but at the beam itself. Magic collided with entropy. The universe stuttered. He vanished again. This time, he reappeared inches from Darkseid's face, fist cocked, glowing with all the fury of a god betrayed. And he struck. The blow echoed across realities. The shockwave shattered two nearby stars. For a moment, just one sliver of suspended time, Darkseid leaned back. But then, with no visible movement, he sent Black Adam crashing downward, this time toward Mars. The red planet did not survive the impact. It cracked apart like an egg, sending debris flying through the solar system. Adam emerged from the dust, half his armor shattered, blood staining his mouth. Yet he smiled. For the first time in ages, he had made a god take a step. Darkseid descended slowly, his shadow swallowing all light around him. No anger showed, no fury, only inevitability. This was not a battle. This was the beginning of the end. The remnants of Mars still floated behind him, twisted iron, molten rock, and the dead silence of a planet reduced to debris. Black Adam hovered amidst the aftermath, one arm slack, the other still clenched with stubborn defiance. His breath came ragged, blood mixing with cosmic dust. His gaze, however, burned hotter than any star. He was not broken. Not yet. Darkseid stood above him, not flying, but existing, where he was. Space bent inward, as if the void itself bowed in submission. There was no emotion in his expression, no trace of fatigue, only the stillness of inevitability. Black Adam launched forward again, less from strategy and more from a desperate, primal instinct, the need to fight back, even in the face of oblivion. He summoned every last shard of magic, drawing from the deepest wells of the gods. Amorn's strength, Zehuti's wisdom, Aten's divine rage. They surged through him like a final storm. He slammed into Darkseid with such force that the explosion collapsed nearby asteroids into dust. His punches came like rapid thunder. Left, right, again, an avalanche of fury. But Darkseid didn't block, didn't counter, didn't move. And that, more than anything, terrified Black Adam. With a single motion, Darkseid raised his hand. The gesture was slow, deliberate. His fingers curled into a fist, not to strike, but to command. In response, the very particles of reality began to unravel. Space rippled. Gravity lost its laws. The laws of magic screamed. Darkseid spoke no words, but the Omega Sanction obeyed. A beam, slower than light but faster than thought, burst from his eyes. Black Adam dodged, or thought he did, only to find the beam waiting for him mid-motion. It didn't burn. It didn't explode. It rewrote. His mind fractured as memories slipped sideways. In one instant, he was in Kahndaq, surrounded by cheering followers. In another, he was imprisoned in a lifeless world, centuries alone. Then, he was a child. Then, a corpse. Then, reborn in a future where no gods answered his call. Each version of him lived. Each suffered. Each died. Again. And again. And again. This was the punishment of the Omega Sanction, death through endless lives, each more meaningless than the last. But Black Adam refused. Somewhere in that endless spiral, he clawed his way back. A single spark of defiance flared brighter than the multiverse had ever seen. His will, forged through centuries, fueled by loss and rage, tore through the Sanction's illusion. He screamed the name of power, Shazam. The illusion cracked. Light burst forth. He re-emerged, barely a shadow of himself. His body hunched, his eyes hollow. The god's power within him was flickering like a dying star. Darkseid turned fully now. For the first time, he raised his hand not to command, but to strike. And when that fist landed, it wasn't just a punch. It was judgment. Black Adam's body snapped like glass, sent careening into the remains of Mars. The surface cratered with the force. His bones shattered. His mouth bled divine ichor. The symbols of the gods that once glowed on his flesh faded, one by one. Still, he tried to rise. Darkseid stepped forward, crushing the red dust beneath his boot. No word were offered. No gloating. The new god placed his palm over Black Adam's chest, and reality sank inward. There was no explosion, no fire, only compression. Black Adam was folded into a singularity of agony, his essence compacted until even magic could no longer escape. A faint cry echoed across realms, then fell silent. A mortal with the power of gods, reduced to a flicker. Darkseid withdrew his hand. Where Black Adam had once stood, there was only dust, floating gently in the void. The battle was over, the rebellion silenced. The god of tyrants remained undefeated. And the stars dared not shine too brightly for fear he might look their way next.